The buzz in Chicago is heating up, and one name is dominating the Bears rumor mill right now: Jeffrey Simmons. A beast on the defensive line, and apparently, according to some predictions floating around, potentially headed to the Windy City for a second-round pick. Yeah, Sports Illustrated threw that out there, and honestly, it got people talking. And for good reason. Jeffrey Simmons has been back to his old dominant self this season. We're talking about 3.5 sacks in just 5 games and leading all defensive tackles and pressures according to Pro Football Focus, 25 total, along with 9 quarterback hits and a forced fumble. That's not just solid production. That's disruption at an elite level. Simmons looks like that all-pro wrecking ball we saw a couple of seasons ago, and any team with playoff aspirations should be interested in adding a guy like that. Now, let's take a step back and look at this from the Bears' perspective. Chicago's defensive tackle group isn't exactly a weakness. In fact, it's arguably the deepest position group on the roster. You've got Grady Jarrett anchoring the unit, Andrew Billings doing the dirty work, the promising rookie Shamar Turner who's starting to flash, and guys like Jervin Dexter and Chris Williams filling the gaps. So the interior has bodies, no doubt. But bodies aren't the same as true game changers. And that's exactly what Simmons is. If you drop Jeffrey Simmons into this defensive line tomorrow, he instantly becomes the best player in that unit. Maybe even on the whole defense, depending on what version of Montez Sweat you're getting week to week. Sweat hasn't been bad, but he hasn't exactly lived up to the contract just yet. Adding Simmons next to him could unlock a whole different gear. That's a tandem that could wreck game plans and finally bring some teeth to this Bears pass rush that's been inconsistent at best. But of course, we have to talk money. And surprisingly, Simmons' contract situation is not the nightmare you might expect. His cap hits are fairly manageable. Just over $20 million next year, then $23 million, and then $27 million in the final year. The key here? There's no guaranteed money left after 2026. If the Bears ever needed to move on, it wouldn't be that painful. Cut or trade him next year, and you're looking at a dead cap hit of $16 million, but still saving around $4 million. And in the year after, the dead cap drops all the way to $5 million. This isn't one of those contracts that locks you into a bad decision for 5 years. And let's not forget, Simmons is only 28. That gives you a 2 to 3 year window where he should still be in his prime. So if Chicago truly believes they're close to contending, or at least building a foundation that could compete in the next 2 or 3 seasons, this is the kind of move you consider seriously. But here's where things get tricky. Do you make that move now? Is this a situation where you push your chips in before the trade deadline hits? Personally, it feels like a decision you hold off on until you get a clearer picture of where this team is heading. If the Bears are still in the playoff hunt, still showing signs of life in November, then maybe you go get that one piece who could take your defense from good to scary. But if you're sitting at 5 or 6 losses already, does it make sense to give up a premium pick, even if it's only his second rounder? And speaking of picks, let's talk value. A second rounder for Jeffrey Simmons is absolutely reasonable. This is not some aging vet on the decline. He's producing right now, and when healthy, he's one of the top 5 defensive tackles in the entire league. For a franchise that's struggled to find consistent pressure on quarterbacks, even after investing big money into the line, Simmons could be that difference maker. Let's not kid ourselves. The Bears have spent heavily on this defensive front in recent years, but they haven't exactly gotten the return they hoped for. So the argument can be made that rather than hoping those investments finally pay off, maybe you just go get a guy who's already doing it. It's not like you're giving up a first-round pick or mortgaging the future. You're making a calculated bet on a proven player who could change the entire tone of your defense. And then there's the ripple effect. Bringing in a dominant interior force like Simmons could open things up for Montez Sweat, for the linebackers, for the secondary. The whole unit could benefit. Suddenly, offenses have to double Simmons, which means Sweat gets more one-on-one matchups. Maybe that's all he needs to get going. Maybe that's what this defense needs to finally play up to its talent level. Now, shifting gears slightly, a few fans have been wondering if Ryan Poles is going to make a move at the deadline. History says yes. He's made a trade every year since taking over, even if it's just something minor, like moving Khalil Herbert for a 7th rounder last season. So don't be surprised if the Bears are active again. Whether it's a blockbuster move like Simmons or something more under the radar, polls have shown he's not afraid to shake things up. And while we're on the topic of potential trade targets, the name Jermaine Johnson came up. Now, this one's a little different. Johnson hasn't exactly been lighting it up lately. Only 2 games played this season, no sacks, and a history of injuries that make you pause. Back in 2023, he looked like he was ready to take off, 7.5 sacks, and a lot of upside. But right now, he's more of a buy low candidate. Maybe you throw a late-round pick at the Jets and hope you can unlock some of that potential. But let's be honest, this is not the kind of move that's going to change the trajectory of your season. And while we're knocking down rumors, the idea of signing Jermaine Pratt doesn't make much sense either. There's just no real need at that linebacker spot, especially with TJ Edwards returning and Noah Sewell starting to show more consistency. Pratt hasn't looked like a major upgrade and seems more like a lateral move at best. If you're going to add someone to the defense, aim higher. Now, one question that's been floating around is what happens at right tackle when Darnell Wright is healthy. Some fans are getting behind Aussie Trapillo after a decent showing, but let's not overthink this. Darnell Wright is still your best defensive tackle. Yes, he's had issues, penalties, lapses in focus, but his physical tools and ceiling are higher than anyone else on that line. If he's healthy, he should be starting. Period. The team might be frustrated with some aspects of his play, but benching him doesn't fix those issues. You let him work through it on the field and hope he takes that next step in year 2. Now, let's pivot to the offensive side real quick. People are asking, what do the Bears need to do to beat Washington? Well, it starts with not getting bullied in the run game. You get outgained 240 yards to 70 again, like you did against the Raiders, and it's game over. Washington is simply a better football team than Vegas, so you have to hold your own in the trenches. That means the run defense has to tighten up, and the offensive line needs to start opening lanes. No more excuses. Another name that's come up in fan questions is Devon Achane. Should Poles pick up the phone and see what Miami wants for him? Look, Achane has home run speed and clear potential, but let's be realistic. The Dolphins love the guy. Unless something drastic is happening behind the scenes, like a coaching change that reshuffles priorities, it's hard to imagine them moving him. But if a 4th-round pick is all it takes, you pull the trigger. Now a 3rd? That's where it gets a little dicey. Giving up day 2 capital for a running back, even a promising one, is always risky. But a 4th? That's a gamble you might be willing to take if the run game keeps sputtering. So let's keep our eyes on the trade deadline. If the Bears can't stop the run, can't run the ball, and continue to hover around mediocrity, then moves have to be made. Whether it's a running back, an edge rusher, or yes, even someone like Jeffrey Simmons, the front office has to evaluate not just where this team is now, but where it can realistically be in the next 2 or 3 years. The window for contention isn't open forever, but with the right pieces, it can crack open faster than people think. While the trade buzz surrounds names like Simmons and Achane, another conversation that's beginning to stir among Bears fans is about the impact of the rookies, specifically when this draft class is going to start making a real difference on the field. And it's a fair question. You invest in these young players with the hope that they'll develop quickly and become contributors, especially in a season where depth and performance are constantly being tested. Luther Burden has probably been the standout so far. He's flashed real potential, shown some chemistry with Caleb Williams, and looks like he could develop into a legitimate threat in the passing game. You see the route running, the separation ability, and the willingness to go over the middle. It's clear the talent is there, but there's still a sense that he's not being featured enough, and part of that could come down to play calling. The offensive staff has to find more creative ways to get the ball in his hands. Screens, jet sweeps, quick slants, whatever it takes to give a playmaker like Burden more chances to make an impact. Colston Loveland is another name that should be popping up more often in the box score. Tight ends can be a young quarterback's best friend, and with Caleb still finding his footing, having a big target over the middle could take some pressure off. When Loveland has been healthy, he's made some nice grabs. But availability has been an issue, and the offense hasn't quite figured out how to feature him consistently. Once he's fully back, you'd like to see him get more involved, not just as a safety valve, but as a genuine weapon in the passing attack. Then you've got Aussie Trapillo, who stepped in recently and held his own. That kind of performance is encouraging from a young lineman, especially in the NFL where the jump from college to the pros is brutal in the trenches. He's not perfect, and there's plenty of growth ahead, but he didn't look overwhelmed. And in a unit that has struggled with consistency, any spark of potential is worth noting. Still, the reality is that if Darnell Wright is healthy, Trapillo is probably heading back to the bench, and that's okay. What matters is that you saw something, a flash, a foundation to build on. Shamar Turner has quietly been getting reps, and while he's not exactly lighting up the stat sheet, he's doing what a rookie defensive lineman is supposed to do: gain experience, learn the speed of the game, and try to hold his ground in the rotation. He's raw, but the tools are there. He has the frame, the strength, and flashes of disruptive ability. It's just about stacking reps and letting the game slow down for him. This isn't a guy you expect to dominate in year one, but you want to see that steady progress, more snap counts, more impact plays, more confidence. Unfortunately, not every rookie is hitting the ground running. Reuben Hipp, the linebacker taken in the 4th round, has barely been noticeable. That's not uncommon for mid-round defenders, especially at a position that relies so much on instinct and film study. He's more of a project player, someone the staff likely sees as a special teams contributor early on, with hopes that he can develop into a rotational linebacker down the line. It's too early to call him miss, but right now, it's clear he's behind in the depth chart and still adjusting to the speed of the pro game. What's worth noting, though, is the trend. Compared to the start of the season, these rookies are seeing more action, getting more trust, and slowly carving out roles. That's encouraging. It's not always about the immediate splash. Sometimes it's about the steady climb. You want to see those snap counts go up, even if the stats take time to follow. And as the Bears navigate the second half of the season, all eyes will be on potential trade targets. Pass rusher remains a glaring need. If Montez Sweat can't find his rhythm, if the pressures don't turn into sacks, the Bears might be forced to get aggressive. You can never have too many guys who can collapse the pocket, and that's been a missing element all season long. There's a reason names like Jeffrey Simmons and even Jermaine Johnson keep coming up. Chicago knows it needs more juice off the edge, and if they don't add someone before the deadline, it could cost them. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling through the NFL ahead of this weekend's clash. And it's not just the usual pregame hype. Sources close to the Washington Commanders' locker room claim that quarterback Marcus Mariota recently let slip some pointed remarks about the Chicago Bears, sending shockwaves through fans and analysts alike. According to insiders, Mariota didn't mince words when discussing the Bears' defense and overall strategy, hinting that he believes Washington has a clear upper hand when the two teams face off. The comments reportedly came during a casual media interaction that was meant to be off the record, though they've since leaked, fueling speculation about whether Mariota's words were calculated mind games or a simple lapse of judgment. Some teammates have been quick to downplay the situation, insisting that Mariota's focus remains on his own performance and the team's preparation rather than on trash talk. Yet, the optics are undeniable. In a league where every statement is scrutinized, even a casual jab can snowball into a headline-grabbing story. Analysts are already dissecting what this could mean for the Bears, who are known for their disciplined defense and ability to respond to challenges. Will Mariota's remarks light a fire under Chicago's roster? Or is this a clever psychological play designed to rattle the Bears before kickoff? Either way, the NFL community is abuzz. Social media platforms are filled with fans debating the impact of the quarterback's candid words, some mocking him for overconfidence, others praising the boldness of calling out a rival team so openly. Historically, rivalries have always benefited from such moments of tension. From locker room leaks to post-game comments, the subtle psychological games in football often make headlines just as much as touchdowns and interceptions. If Mariota's comments were meant to gain a mental edge, it seems to be working. The Bears will enter this game aware of the chatter, and Washington fans are reveling in the narrative of their quarterback stepping into a leadership role not just on the field, but in the mind games leading up to the matchup. As kickoff approaches, one thing is clear. All eyes will be on Mariota and the Bears. Whether this turns into a full-blown controversy or remains a simmering rumor, it has already added an extra layer of drama to what promises to be an intriguing matchup in the NFL calendar. The question now is simple. Can Mariota back up his words when the lights are on, or will this bold statement become a footnote in Bears history? That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.